got here.
Oh,
And
how
I
old is
went
he?
on for lunch. And during
So
my
our
lunch hour,
son
I
is
showered,
my son
I
is and he's
took a nap. I was so
Yeah,
tired.
I'm
And
like,
what is it?
he's
I was
skinny.
trying
He's
to
like,
find
yeah, I'm
my
like,
husband knows I was like, and my son
yeah,
got out.
James really worked with me.
He was just like,
That's right.
yeah.
My brother-in-law is really big, so I give my years, if he got it from that side with that old, I'm like, that would be.
And I'm just like,
See if they know.
oh,
Yeah, I look at food.
I'm like, here we go. It's 5:30. I'm glad everybody's happy and they're going. That's great. Would you like to what? Should we leave the door open in case somebody wants to wander in? No? Yeah, leave it open. Okay, sure. Good. All right, we'll call the meeting to order. We have some guests. You want to introduce yourself and tell us who you are?
My name's Robert McClellan.
Okay.
he's here to answer questions regarding the community survey. If there's.
Oh, okay, great. And that's, we're going to cover that as you go through the agenda today. And anyone else? Okay. First thing on the agenda is the approval of the minutes from the last meeting of June 1st. Has everyone had an opportunity, board members, to look at the minutes? And are there any questions or comments about the minutes? Do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
Sure.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
It's strange to be in this little crowded room. I'm not used to this. It's been over a year or longer. Okay, next, we have a presentation. We put that up front on the meeting today. And so, Kathy, you are ready to go?
I'm as ready as I will be.
This is going to be our senior services. I need that desperately. So the ladies, there you go.
Okay, first of all, hi, I'm Kathleen Christie. I'm the manager of the Adult Services Department, and we are happy to come and talk to you. First of all, how many of you recognize any of these pictures?
That's Tom Taylor, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Oh, that's David Dugan.
It's a bad picture, but
Now, who is that?
You all are sneaky.
Oh.
we'll go back. Okay, Tom Taylor, David Dugan,
I need a picture of that.
Susan Schneibel, that was a tiny picture, so. Marty Black,
Oh, yeah, of course.
John Reagan, Ed Mitchell,
Oh, that doesn't even begin to look like
Stephanie
it.
Johnson. So these all came out of our yearbooks in our archives, with all kinds of wonderful things there. And Judith, we can turn on to the other one now. So first of all, thank you again for letting us talk. And I'm gonna.
It's gonna be a long meeting anyway, so we don't.
Well, I don't want to add to your burden. Let me introduce those of our team who are here tonight. Brennan, who will also be speaking, Melinda, and Sheila. These are all fantastic people who help our patrons. Now, I'm gonna tell you, I'm sorry if I talk too fast or if I rush, I am nervous. And we do so much, and it's gonna be hard to limit it to 10 minutes, but we are gonna try. And we're very excited to tell you all about this. Now, the Adult Services department is in a unique position and it offers many, oh, she missed her picture.
Oh,
That's okay.
We offer many different services to this community. However, what we do basically comes down to interacting and responding to patrons and providing services to them. For instance, how many of you have a phone? Okay. When you first got it, did you intuitively know how to use it? Did you know right off the bat, opening the box? Okay, so did you have to ask someone or go to an online manual? We have people coming to us all the time saying, I don't know how to use this. What do I do? Whether it's how to use Libby or how do I use my tablet? What do I do? What's my password? They'll come and ask us. They'll say, how do I use Libby? How do I apply for this job? How do I run my credit report? All those kinds of things. And we do our best to help them. And almost always we can. I'm not gonna say we're perfect, but almost always. Now, so that was technical. We answer a lot of reference questions. We are the reference department. And sometimes these questions can be answered quickly, but other times they require in-depth and off-desk time. People want help in finding information on library resources, community resources, non-library resources, online resources, and who knows what else. During the COVID year, if all the people who have asked us reference questions stood in one line, social distance apart, that line would go out to the airport. It's 4,500 questions this last COVID year. The year before, at the same time, before COVID, if all the people who asked their questions stood in one line at the same time, the line would go 16 miles, almost out to Neyland Stadium. And this is what we do here. So I'm going to show you some of the questions that we get. These are actual questions.
Good Lord.
Oh.
I never knew that was there. We'll have to look.
I'm illustrated.
Again, these are actual real life questions that we have done.
That's great.
Now, a well-known author, you would know him, I'm sure, Dylan. Google will bring you 100,000 answers. A librarian will bring you the right one. So you get the idea of what we're doing here. Okay, with the help of our friends, we have created programs for our patrons. Every program we do address literacies which people need to succeed in the 21st century, such as basic literacy, digital literacy, informational literacy, and health literacy. For instance, Focus on Seniors is a program for the older population. It provides timely information that's not easily consumable and not available elsewhere. One area that has been remarkable and created many spin-offs, one of our programs is the Southern Appalachian Lecture Series. One of our professional part-time librarians, Linda Marcus, has developed a program that regularly had 80 to 200 people attend. Some of the monthly programs are intellectual, some are down home, some talk about our local environment, but they all focus on the Southern Appalachian area, its history and culture. Here are some of the flyers that we've used with the topics. You get the idea. Okay, and the Southern Appalachian Lecture Series has been so innovative and so successful, it has sparked spin-offs. Foothill Voices is a program that publishes books, stories, articles written by amateur local authors. Brennan, right here, Linda and Jennifer, who used to work here, have presented at state and national conferences about it. We are so proud of them. We're just so proud of all of this. We have had a quoting bee. This was our slogan. And you know what, that's true. Some of our other things that we do here, Melinda started a story time for grown-ups. It's on Zoom. We have focused on seniors. We have had adult coloring. Now that's been paused because of COVID, but one of the projects that we do, we take care of the magazines back in reference. And with that, after we buy them and catalog them and make them available for people, we have to get rid of them. And so this is just one of many cards. It feels like thousands of cards. And that's Adam, who is working on them there. So it was the natural progression for Sheila Pennycuff, who loves gardening and has an interest in heritage seeds, who is another one of our creative professional part-time librarians, to create the seed library as a way to grow Appalachian heritage seeds. Last year, I'll wait till we get there. She's had speakers here. She had the seed library. Make sure you look at it. This is a nationally known author and heritage gardener who works at Blackberry. And he spoke here. Last year, we had 2,000 seed packets to gardeners. We are literally feeding Blount County. Sheila, can you elaborate a little bit?
Sure. I wanted to pass these out too. This is an article, we were interviewed about our seed library in a national publication, Farm World. So if you want to read that. And then this is our brochure, it has our mission statement and our seed protocols and different things about the seed library. So if you want to take one of those. This is our catalog. It's so cute and adorable. It was painted by a local artist, Amy Campbell. She's also the host of Tennessee Farm Tape. And she has interviewed us about the seed library a couple of times, and she's been just a great partner. So you might want to take a look. We've got, this isn't all of our seeds here. This is what we put out for the public. But we also have a stockpile of seeds. We got a grant from Slow Food Tennessee Valley, I always forget their name. And we bought a freezer, so we have a freezer to store our seeds in during the time that we're not open. And just a little bit about the history of the seed library. It was born out of a Southern Appalachian Studies program. We had a Southern Appalachian Heritage Seed Swap. And people loved it. They brought tons of seeds, and they just kept bringing seeds to me at the desk, week after week after week. And I thought, what am I gonna do with all these seeds? I can't, I'm a gardener, but I can't garden. My yard's not this big. So we talked to the master gardeners, Blount County master gardeners, and we partnered with them, and we started the seed library. And we opened March the 1st, 2018. So this is our 3rd year, and it's promoted a lot of goodwill in the community. We're helping people recognize the heritage seeds that, you know, their great-grandparents grew, and people stopped saving seeds after a while, so we don't want to lose that great biodiversity of our culture here, and seeds are really our living history. So it's done well. We've been interviewed by WBIR, WATE, and the Daily Times, and just ask anybody to hate being interviewed. When they call me,
excellently.
I'm like, you know, they always, it never fails. They call on a day, you're having a really bad hair day. Or, and then of course we had our, I passed out the articles. So, and if you guys ever have any questions, feel free to come by the desk and chat about seeds.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sheila. Okay, and if this is not enough, a huge component of adult services, local history. Our future is based on our past. One of the things we do is preserve articles from the newspaper. Linda Kirby, that's something that she does, and we keep it in the vertical file, which is shelves and shelves, drawers and drawers. Okay, we have a cool project that AJ Rowe is working on, is preserving Judge Blount cartoons. Do you remember? They have been donated to us. They came in a huge box with this in and shoe boxes and just all of these tossed in there. So he has been organizing them and putting the data on it, metadata, whether it's family or economics or farming or politics, and making those available on our digital virtual library. And please look at these at some point. And he is, that's AJ. We're doing old map preparation and saving them. And like I said, our future is based on our past. Brennan has some wonderful things to tell us. Do you want to hear?
Do you care?
I do not mind at all.
I'm Brenda McGuire. I've run the library for since 2008. I've been full-time for the past 3 years. One of the things I work with a lot is the local history and genealogy collection. And before I worked here, I didn't know there was a local collection. But we have over 7,000 items, and we've got books, journals, maps, microfilm reels with emphasis on Blount County and Southern Appalachia. And the file cabinets with the newspapers and the files. Just all sorts of information on local families and institutions. We have a archives room that's a locked facility for things that are irreplaceable or fragile, and that's where our high school yearbooks go. We have school yearbooks that provide a wonderful slice of life, as you saw in some of the pictures of bald-headed people that used to have hair and things like that. And not just the pictures, but the ads also really give a slice of life. So we continue to collect those, and those will be our history not too far down the road. Our books include wills, deeds, cemetery records, local historic court records, biographies, family histories, city directories dating back to the 1920s, and books of photos. We have bound copies of all of Blount County death certificates from 1914 through 1964. Except for the occasional missing issue, we have the full archive of the Maryville Daily Times on microfilm and the Maryville Enterprise, which was published from 1906 to 1980, and all the earlier newspapers dating back to the mid-1800s. So you can come look at those on our brand new microfilm reader. We just had our old decrepit one replaced, and we're just getting trained on the new one. Somebody said that history is about the important people and genealogy is about everybody. And we think our local history collection is the perfect combination of history and genealogy because everybody has a story, and it's easy to see the significance of your story when you're looking at the local level. For example, we have a paperback bound volume memoir by a lady named Lucia Toole Anderson. She was born in 1907. And she wrote a memoir where she describes living behind the old downtown post office just across the creek here, and having to go across a footbridge to get to East Side School. You know what I'm talking about. Where Fort Craig and then the Boys and Girls Club is. So it gives you a perspective that makes you thankful for people that have given us things like bridges, and it's hard to think about what a mucky mess Maryville was when you've got a creek that makes a complete loop around the hill, and everybody has made it so you don't even have to think about that, you just go. Ollie Keller, some of you may know who he was, died a couple of years ago. He was born in the 6 Mile community, and he retired back to Blount County after a distinguished career as a college football coach. And his autobiography gives a lot of information about the 6 Mile community where he was born, as well as Scratch Ankle, which is the neighborhood he lived in Maryville. Anybody know where Scratch Ankle is? It's the Sevierville roadside of Everett Hill. Okay. So there's just a lot of local history when somebody tells their very own story, and we like to save those. Blount Journal, the Genealogy Society that has an office here publishes this twice a year. We have bound copies going back to the mid-1980s. And here you'll see a picture of Alcoa's first municipal building. They write about things that you just aren't going to find anywhere else. Kathleen talked about Foothill Voices, and this was our second volume. We were going to do it again last year, but the virus hit. We hope to do it again next year. But in the second one, there was a very carefully researched story of 3 men in Maryville, a merchant, a doctor, and a grave digger, and it tells their story of the 1918 flu pandemic, and it is so interesting. And when this came out, we had no idea what a timely thing that would be. So these are available to check out in the library, and they're available for sale. So as Kathleen said, we preserve information, we collect and organize things, we respond to requests for information. If you saw the story in the Daily Times, I think on Memorial Day, about historic football being donated to Maryville College, Melinda responded to a request for information and provided some of the background on that story. And it's not unusual for us to get that kind of request. But we also do outreach. So there's gathering and organizing information, responding to requests, and outreach. And the publication is one form that our outreach has taken in the last few years. So besides the Foothill Voices, we also have a writer in residence, and he has republished some things that were published privately, and like this is story of Burt Garner that Woody Brenniger wrote, I think in the 80s, and this was republished with original artwork. It's really nice. And this is about the Civil War memoirs of Will McTeer. And again, it's got some nice pictures in it, and these are for sale or to check out. There have been interviews done with Vietnam veterans, because those people of my vintage are maturing and aging, and we wanted to catch them while they can still tell their story. This is an ongoing project. Volume 1 and 2, Volume 3 is being proofread right now, and after they finish that, they'll probably do a Gold Star edition. During the pandemic, while we did some work from home, I was able to write a book about Maryville as it was 100 years ago. And this was a follow-up to some projects I had done that involved walking tours. It just sort of naturally grew out of that. So I was able to put those ideas and thoughts down while I still remembered them. And it's got ads and maps and some original drawings, and again, for sale and available to check out. We're very excited about what we do. We're enthusiastic, we enjoy it, and just wanted to get a little taste of what we do. And these are things you can look at after the meeting, and there are also things on the table out there, including the letters to Santa. I don't know if you've ever seen our letters to Santa Christmas tree that we have. Okay, so the letters are in an archives box out there with white gloves. You can look at that. Okay.
Thank you very
Any
much.
questions? Please come see us and ask us questions.
My husband tells me I am chronologically challenged. And when Anjane said we could have 10 minutes, I said, sure, we can do that. And he said, you don't have to worry about 10 minutes. So I'm leaning that way. And I thank you very much. Be sure and look at our things, including Dr. Covey is out there. We'd love to have you come out and we'll talk to you more. We have so much more we could have said, so.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, ladies. We talked about, I mean, what an incredible
Thank you.
library we have in each category, each area. It's just amazing. And I'm so glad they're coming in and talking to us about it and letting you know what's going on. Can you, are you gonna scroll back on the pictures? Can you go right back to the beginning?
Just a moment, yes, sir.
We have a link coming that needs to see your picture.
Oh, the first one.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'll get the right one in a moment. Yes, we want Miss Susan to see.
Join the rest of us.
Who is that?
Tom Taylor.
This is
There you are.
Who's that? Wait, can you pause it?
That was.
That's Marty Black.
Can you guess it? It'll scroll again. I don't know. I
Everybody
didn't
looks
set this
like
up.
themselves except Ed. I can't
Yeah,
get
I
over
know,
that.
I
It doesn't even remotely look like.
Yeah, no.
Hello's right there.
That's Tom Taylor?
That's
No,
Ed.
that's Ed.
That was Ed.
Stephanie.
And this is the beginning again. This is Tom.
Yeah. That's Tom, yeah, I can see that.
That's awesome. I love that.
There you go.
It'd have to be from there. I remember that dress.
Thanks so much.
Questions, do you still have that? Because I know Oh, I could wear that, but I was thinking, I wish.
Quick question, Liz, how many other libraries have CCAP? Have what, any? Are there some?
I know E.G. Fisher and Blount County have one. There are a few, yes. I don't know the number off.
Ladies, thanks again. They really do an incredible job. And if you go back there, they even give tests for boat licenses and whatever else is going on. I mean, it's just unbelievable. You could spend all day back there, but then just listening, it's really fun. Okay, and I'll be quick on my report. We did meet with Merrill College, and I'll let Rajay talk about that. I met with a volunteer, Ron Halter, who has worked in the library before, and about 3 or 4 years ago, he came up with a new design for the book drop, and Cynthia suggested I talk to him, so I did, and I went back and I sat there for a couple days watching the book drop, and see how it worked. You all need to do that. We get, all you have to do is sit there for 10 minutes.
Okay.
We get 50,000 books dropped at the book drop a month. And I thought they were kidding when they told me that. And they pull those cards out every hour or more. It's just unbelievable what's going on. And when you look at the report from Anjane, you'll see that we do 700,000 checkouts a year, which is unbelievable. So obviously those books have to come back. And or maybe not. But it's not all books, it's books and periodicals and tapes, but unbelievable. And the thing is underwater part of the day, and the books drop on the concrete floor, and so we've got to do something to correct that. And so that's one of the things I'm working on, and I met with Chris Sorrow from an engineering firm, and we're taking a long look at talk to Maryville City about what they can do to help us on redoing the book drop, and also the county, because it's not the way that we should be working at this library now. It's not with the quantities that are coming in
The
there.
problem at the bottom, not at the top.
When you,
Going in is okay, but
The problem was that it was forgotten.
they
So it
forgot,
was added on, and the height
Just a sheet.
differential from outside to inside is off.
Sort of like the sewer hookup in the bathroom.
Yeah.
So lower
Yeah.
so you can't get the carts underneath the book drop, so the books drop on the floor.
okay.
A lady or someone has to go back and pick them off the floor, put them in the cart, and then the cart puts it onto another shelf cart, and then from the shelf cart, it goes on the shelf. And, I mean, it's ridiculous. It really is ridiculous, and we have to do a better job on that. So that's one of the things that this next year we need to work on.
And
so-
just know that some work was done by Chris, you know, in some of the earlier,
No, I-
you know, work, when we were taking a look at, you know, some of the expansions of the library and the redo of the library. I mean, there was a whole little mini project around the handling of those returns, including, he had done some investigating of automated systems that are available now and all. So Chris is the right person.
I brought him in
Yeah.
and had him sit there with me for 15
Yeah.
minutes.
Yeah.
And it was
Yeah.
amazing. And the water's dripping down the side.
Yeah.
It's just crazy. So anyway, so that's my report. We'll be working out. You'll hear a lot more about this in the future. Any questions on that? And what we've done is we're gonna put that in as part of the downstairs. So Chris is doing it as part of the downstairs with the bathrooms and the sewer system. So we'll get on that right away. And he promises me that all of those are up on the top of his list now, number one, and so we'll be moving forward on that. Okay, Anjane, your report.
Everyone has had an opportunity to read the report. Any questions? Oh, come on. Any question? One question?
We're gonna talk about the
I will go over.
Yeah, okay, okay.
Okay, so, what is it? There are a few things that we need to cover. What is it? I have, on page 3, near the top, if you are looking at the amended version, that now, it says, under the returning to 69 and a half hours library service, the second set of bullet points, the second bullet point, no charge for reserves and no charge for overdue items. There does need to be a discussion on whether or not the board would like that reinstated. Now, I would like to share with you that yesterday I checked our revenues and, to date, or as of yesterday, our revenues came in at $111,563.16. In December, when we were reporting to the county, and vaccines hadn't come out yet, so we had said that we were gonna be lucky if we pulled in 78,000. So we are not even we're not operating at full hours. Our library, our meeting spaces have not started. I mean, they're picking up, but this is a down year. And we have already made more than we thought we were going to make, what we projected for next year's fiscal budget. So we're looking good. We're standing good. And
You have a recommendation that
well,
you feel?
what is it? There has been recommendations made in earlier discussions about keeping the reserves and the overdue items without charge. And I would like to say that the generation of goodwill that brings, as well as the reduction in staff interactions, the tension that staff has to say, I'm sorry, you can't have this, and the removal it becomes an access barrier for some families. What might be $5 for us and isn't an issue because we've got internet at home and we've got books on our shelves, a lot of our families don't. And so by removing that, we believe, and I talked to Liz and she has shared that a lot of libraries are actually seeing, by the removal of this, they're actually seeing a lot more in terms of donations. So,
So can we remove it for the rest of this year and then reevaluate it at the end of the year?
so the end of this fiscal year?
No, the end of the calendar year.
Okay,
So that way you have 6 months into the next year to see what it would be like without any fees.
I like that idea. Okay, that sounds good.
Angela, when somebody borrows a book and let's say they don't return it, they lose it. How does that?
We still charge for that. We still charge for damage. We still charge for the loss of an item. And there's processing fees that go within it. What isn't being charged is the fine. So, and 9 times out of 10, what we find is that during this time period, we're getting better return rates as well. So it is maybe a little counterintuitive that, we don't have to punish people. Once they realize that, we just want them to get it back, they have a natural motivation to go, hey, I know that I want stuff to be there, so I'm gonna return this, so when I want something, it's.
How much money did you earn in fees, late fees from 2
So
years ago?
fines and fees have always been combined. And because of that, it looked like it was $80,000. I think this year we've raised 36 in fines and fees together.
It was a slow year though.
Yeah.
So
And this was,
you're almost comparing apples to oranges.
exactly,
It was such a
exactly. It's
tough
so
year.
very different. So,
So Colorado State Library has done white papers on this and a lot of research into webinars and things. And if a lot of research shows that people who are trying to kind of dip their toe into the fine-free pond, if you don't just want to jump into that, is certainly, we've had some libraries look at just making fine-free for their juvenile materials to start with, because that is a population that is directly dependent upon the adults in their house to get those back. And so that seems to be for people who kind of want to get into the foray of trying to see what it would look like and what it might feel like financially. Going with the juvenile materials, eliminating fines on those.
My hometown did that first, and then they eventually went to full no fine.
Is it harder to keep track of? Who's doing what and what books, what level the books would be?
No, because, I mean, they're cataloged as juvenile materials, so when they come back, they probably, you all may, I don't know if you assess a particular fine for like, it's different for juvenile materials, right? It's
No.
across the board. But when they return it, it's a juvenile material, so they would know automatically, you know, it's probably set
Yeah,
that.
we can
measure right
yeah.
there.
So what's your thought? It's one way or the other?
I like it.
So did you make an announcement that you're gonna do this, or you just gonna let this be?
I don't think it would be wise to make an announcement.
So just leave it?
Keep going.
I personally like it, you know, the 6 months, especially right now, being at fixed 7 hours a week. So you do have limited time where people can return potentially. So I'm like, I don't see a problem with, you know, extending until the end of the fiscal, or the calendar year.
Okay, somebody want to make a motion for that?
I will, I'll make a motion.
Second? Okay, all in favor of eliminating it, all fees or penalties till the end of the year, and then we'll look at it again.
No, it's for late fees.
For late fees.
Yeah,
Not
late
for
fees.
damage. or-
Yes, overdue fees, and can I
Reserves.
just say, can we say January 15th, so we can get through holidays and crazy stuff like that?
Let's say to the January meeting.
January 14th.
I would be interested in how, I'm all for it, but how are we gonna replace that $80,000? You know, it's good to talk about that it'll bring in more donations. I agree, I think it's a barrier, but how do we replace those funds that are gonna be going away?
Right
And
now,
will it maybe only be half of that, because you said it was combined with late fees and damage in books, and you're still charging for, and I don't know if it's a 50-50 ratio.
right now, all I can present to you is what, you know, has been documented in the white papers and things like that. What I can do between now and when this period ends is I can look and see. I mean, we have other revenue streams, and I would say that, you know, there's potential for them to grow, especially if we can get one of the gaming room space, if we can get that project up and completed, then that's another room for rent, so.
I'm trying to get updated data too, because we've had someone collecting anecdotal data from our primary libraries to see what the feedback has been. Some of them have reported putting off just donation jars, and it's something to do with the psychology of making someone pay a fine versus the voluntary action of them paying a fine will give more money. It's
Yeah.
pretty
A
amazing.
donation.
The National Public went fine free 2 or 3 years ago, so I've reached out to see if we can get some updated.
And I could see almost even from the, you know, financial, I'm a slow reader, you know, and I have limited time. So it's just one of those things. I'm like, sometimes knowing that it's only a 2-week checkout, I'm like, I might just not do it, something like that. Or I'll extend it one time and then that's it. So, you know, like I know my dad's a little like that. So I don't know. I see the benefit of that.
The data is great, and I think it's a trend. It's what a lot of people are doing. I just want to make sure with our particular budget that we're working with, this doesn't make us pull away from another area and then, you know, past January 15th.
So I can say that the way that we've been operating since, at least since I've been as deputy director, every year we have given a substantial amount of money back, or had a substantial amount of money go back into our fund balance. So, and the last 2 years, not the COVID year, the year before that, we were actually, what is it, I think we actually brought in $234,000. So, you know, that was including fines. I think it's doable is what I'm getting at. We have, because of all our changes, one of our biggest internal changes is that we have the young lady who is called our catering coordinator. We have put her more in charge of, and thereby giving a dedicated focus to the cafe. And we are seeing that really reap the benefits in every way, in terms of training, in terms of customer service, in terms of product quality, the supply, you know, and what is it, the Rotary, as you read in my report, the Rotary wants to renew their annual contract. I would be surprised if she can't probably increase that, so. But I will start seeing if I can get actual numbers.
Thank you. You all pay a collections agency also, too.
Yes, we do, yeah, so. And I've got the data on that, the comparison of what we bring in versus what we pay. So,
Can you get that for us for the next meeting?
yes.
I'd like to know that.
I've already- Now, what is it? It will be data from pre-COVID time.
What did you budget for, just tell us, for next year, for data, for,
I think $1,100.
that's it?
Yeah, and more interesting, there might be staff hours dedicated.
And that's what we've,
Yeah.
see, so we've done all that, and I've got it all. It'll be pre-COVID though, which will actually be a.
Yeah, that's better
Yeah.
information.
Yeah.
So, what is it, yeah, you'll find that it's almost not worth doing, so. And it comes because of the labor hours of our staff. So, I'll have that data in the next board packet, is that okay?
Okay, thank you. Okay, we have a motion on the floor. We've had discussion. You want to read it? Yeah.
Stephanie Thompson made a motion to remove all overdue.
You talk, speak loud.
Stephanie Thompson made a motion to remove all overdue fines and reserve fees until further discussion at the January board meeting.
Okay,
Lauren seconded.
all in favor of the motion, raise your hand. Anyone opposed? Okay. Motion carries. Thank you. All right, and your second thing there, or your second piece was for charge for reserves.
What is it? We used to charge 50 cents for reserves.
What does that mean?
It is just if someone made a request, we would.
No, I was sorry. Liz and I were talking about what a reserve line, we would charge 50 cents. Sorry, I'm Janae.
No, that's okay. I think I can answer that question in the sense that, staff that are here, you know, speak up if I've misstated this, but I believe that the reason it was originally implemented was because, you know, people get excited about, placing things on reserves and then they don't pick them up. And prior to 10Share, the library consortium that helped us set up a statewide courier service, it would cost us money and the library would just eat it. And now, so that came in place to help coverage, but then we started getting through our MOE relationship, the state started the statewide courier, and then I think the fine just stayed. Is that? Yeah.
Well, I think it was started because we needed an income stream. I'll just be blunt.
Do you know what year?
How much income did we get for?
It was 50 cents an item.
Yeah, but I mean, what does it generate, $100 a year?
Oh, no.
A day,
It was probably a lot more
was
than
it
that.
50 cents a day? or-
We
It's
have, just to put it on
Just 50
reserve.
cents.
Yes.
So when we did this, we just put the someone's paying to get first dibs access on like New Times.
That would go against everything we just said, they're removing the access, and, I mean, you know, we have to pick and choose, we want it to be accessible for people or not, and
But now, when they put something on hold, they put it on hold for a period of time. If you don't pick it up, it's
That's
still
right.
not right.
That's right.
And it's not for a week, it's for like 2 days or something.
No, it's
Maybe 3 days to.
But before you incurred a cost to have it sent here, so if they didn't pick it up, you still
Yeah, I
have
could
to
see
incur
that.
a cost, but now you don't,
now you know.
you
Well-
don't incur a cost.
yeah, that's right.
Somebody does.
I mean, there's, okay, it's not 100% free, I was gonna say. You know, we have to have, membership with the consortium. Then there are certain charges that,
So it's not free.
it is not 100%
So do we want to
free.
continue this?
But there was a difference between putting a reserve on something we had and asking for something through interlibrary loan.
Right.
Yeah.
So we were charging 50 cents to put a hold on things. We had, where do we charge for interlibrary loan?
No.
So.
I don't think we should.
Well, you think about curbside pickup.
Right, I was
How
trying to say, it's so
popular
much
that
easier
is.
now, because if you put something on hold, or if you put something on reserve, all you have to do is pull up the front, call, you know, and it's like, you know, bring it out to us.
I make a motion to remove it, the 50 cents.
To do what?
I make a motion to remove it.
Well, we don't have-
Well, right now, we don't have it,
now,
yeah.
So we don't need that.
So we would just continue, we would not reinstate it.
I think
Is everybody
maybe just
okay with that?
review it again when, in January.
Yeah.
January board meeting,
Yeah.
talk about
That's
it
good.
again then.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. All right. I had a question on page
We need to vote on that.
We did.
Page 2.
That's what I thought.
I thought we
I'm
did.
sorry.
That's all right. We kind of backpedaled.
Page 2, you are asking for closing the library on the 30th of July.
Yes.
You want to talk about that for a second?
Okay, so, what is it? The staff for a very long time have been asking for, active shooter training again. Between those requests and now, we have had an update in our security systems, both our camera system. There is a, SARA, system, which stands for something. But what it basically is, it's a panic button system. And what it does is, we as a library can determine certain buttons, if you will, so that if I'm in patron services and Kathy is in children's and Kathy's having an issue, she can hit a button and it can go, depending on the button type, it can go just to staff. If it is a public service announcement, like say there's a tornado coming in, or say that there's an active shooter, every single computer monitor can broadcast this message. So one of the things that has been meaning to be addressed, but yet hasn't, has been the implementation of this SARA system. We have access to it, but it is not fully set up. And so during this training day, we would be brought up to speed about how our security now fits in with the county security systems. And they would explain the SARA system. Then we would go through the active shooter training. Then they would go. Then we would decide on what type of buttons would work. And then when we would let Dawn know, and he would have that created, and then we could implement it.
Sounds like you need the day.
Yeah.
But that's the, okay, let me just throw this in there. That's the first week that the teachers are back in school. Do you have meetings and stuff going on that
I'm
day
happy to
here?
say, I have checked the board, there's nothing
Okay.
on that day. We have no staff taking holiday, at least at the moment that I checked. It's been 2 days though, so there's no telling. But at that time, there was no one,
First football games of the year also.
And maybe a good time too,
There'll be
you
less
guys,
people coming.
Okay. Say again?
are you guys gonna use it as an opportunity for a little bit of fellowship too?
Absolutely, yes. So that is the first part of the day.
Okay,
What is it? We will expect that, we'll start at 9. We'll expect that the sheriff's department, will be done with their training by about, noon. We'll have lunch. And then, from 1 to 5, we will be working on, right now, the staff have been asked, what type of training, do they want to do team building? Do they want to do, what kind of training would they benefit from? And so we're getting that done now.
You're providing lunch for the employees.
yes.
I thought you were cooking, Andy.
It needs to be out of town. I think it's great.
Yeah, I move that we do it.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Uh,
Okay. You will have signs on the doors and somewhere around the lot.
Yes.
On the TVs.
It will be, it will,
At least a week in advance.
yes.
Couple things on that.
Yes, sir.
On your report, page 2, you talked about the book drop and who Scott Poland and what tip signs, and what's that connection?
Okay, so Scott Pullen works with the city of Maryville, and he is in charge of making sure that all signs within the city of Maryville meet the requirements. He came out and it was beautiful. It was at the same time that we were reviewing the book drop, and he got to see within a 25-minute time period, we had 3 times where at least 4 car lengths of cars were trying to get in to return books. He was like, I cannot believe the volume. I was like, yes, we are loved. I was very proud. Sorry, I didn't share that. I was very proud. What is it? So what Mr. Pullian and I are working on are getting the requirements for the allowable signage and design that will go on or over at the Learning Lab, so it's identifiable, and then to address the book drop. So what is it? The small metal signs, apparently because they're metal and we're in the day and age that we are, people like to take them. So there are requirements. It's sort of like
that's a lie.
yeah. So what is it? It is in very early stages yet. Tomorrow I will reach out to Tip Signs again, and I will ask him to come out and provide quotes. But he and Mr. Poland have already been in discussions to make sure that they're sure on the requirements of what is allowable.
So this is a sign issue and not the project that Chris and Kim are about.
That the book drop, I don't even think I mentioned the book drop in this one.
Yeah, you did.
That's I did. Okay, it was just the book drop sign, yeah, I'm sorry about that, yeah.
The other question concerning the Sky 5 project.
Yes, sir.
Report on that.
Okay, so, the rotary tables have been ordered. Right before, or on my holiday, I sent an email out to all parties, which are Mike Caffrey from IT, the county IT, he's the consultant. I have reached out to Joe Huff with Parks and Rec regarding the slabs and the location for the tables. And what is it, I will be, now that I'm back in town, I will be following up with them so that we can start things. We're all ready to go, but no one knows who to start or where to start first. So apparently everyone had their own individual tasks, but that email was the first time they all were talking together. So now it's in the coordination phase.
So where are the sites? What's it at? Springbrook?
It was Springbrook, and the other possible one is MLK.
MLK one is probably good. This is. Kind of.
It is, yes. But so we're doing it in steps. the tables that are being installed now are through the Maryville Rotary Club. And then that's a grant cycle within itself. Oh no, that wasn't even grant. One, yeah. Well, this one is, because this one's due on the 30th and I'm writing that one. The MLK one is definitely. I don't think the Rotary one is. I think that's just a straight install. I think she raised the money on that one. Okay. So before we get too far, and I don't want to cut everyone else off, I wanted to bring everyone's attention to page 3, the section returning to 69.5 hours of library service timeline. Starting today, I would like to make a request that if the community survey is approved, if we could utilize our integrated library system, which is our card catalog, and send out emails to our active card holders. The last time we did this survey, the board did give us permission to do that. There are limits on how much that you can, how many you can send out per day, and I think it's something like 10,000. The person should only get it once via that avenue. We're going to be truly promoting this, but that is a request I'd like you to just, I'm planting the seed for now. We haven't started talking about the community survey, but that is something that I'm hoping we can take action on. Tonight, yes.
So when we did the last survey, and you implemented the same, rollout that way, right?
Pretty much.
We yielded about 2,000 responses.
My recall, yeah, 2,000.
Yeah, so it was successful then.
Absolutely, yeah.
It seemed to work.
We had 2,000
Responses.
a day.
Oh, no.
Total, but that's pretty large.
What percent was it?
Yeah.
Was it?
No, that's for a survey like.
For a survey,
it's-
that's a good,
Yeah.
yeah.
How many would you send out?
So,
Usually, at the retail level, we expected 5%.
so here's the thing. So we have, currently, we have about 50,000 active card holders. So we want to at least ensure that they get that. There will also be print or hard copy surveys that are available in the library. And then we will also be sharing it within our social media and our full print press kit. So, sorry, who's asking the question? So I keep looking.
So somebody do the math.
It was just
2,000
over. It's
out of
just over.
50,000 is what?
50%, 4%, right?
Or 4 to 5%, right?
Yeah.
Which is good
That's
for a
right.
survey like
That's
this.
right.
Yeah, and especially it was a lengthy survey last time. I was
This
surprised that.
is also lengthy,
It is almost identical.
Yeah.
but it's very long.
Yeah.
But I don't see any ethnicity. We're gonna identify race.
In the, we're gonna do that in the focus group?
We have one section is underrepresented groups to see why they have difficulty accessing the library, what are their issues, and get into their perceptions of the library, how the library might improve, making those services more widely known to them or more accessible.
But
Why don't we do it on that question?
Instead of having a separate.
No, but I should do both.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, we can do
Here, I
that.
need to know
I agree.
who's really participating.
The audience.
Yeah, you've got, yeah, so you've got your
Yeah,
zip code on there.
You've got
so you know.
age. We've got age.
Yeah,
You don't have race.
let's add race.
It'll
That's a
help
good
with
idea.
everything, yeah. It is loud.
Why, can we talk about the survey?
Yes, sir.
Why are you only checking 3 on the second question? It says, what do you value most about the library? Check 3 and you have 20-some items.
You could check any, you could change that to check as many as you want. That's.
When you start doing the analysis, I think it starts the weekend by giving them the 3 best, counting them. And statistically, it really gives you a better.
So here's the thing, question 2 asks about a value. And then question 7 talks about the importance to you. And then question 8 asks you to rate them. So I think between the 3, you get a good,
Do you remember from 2 to 8? I would.
Some people, I would.
okay, I agree, but
Well, it's like individual, so you take each one separately, so you just kind of.
Yeah.
But we can remove the checkup to, well, I mean, would that
I wouldn't
affect?
do it, I'd leave it alone. I mean, I think you need, it's almost a forced choice question. You need to know what is of most value. Because I could sit here and check every one of these things. And that's not very helpful information to
That's
you.
right, that's right.
But by forcing me to pick a few, I have to think about that, I have to reflect on it, and then I have to commit by checking the box. And so I think it's more helpful information.
But what happens if you get the same amount of people for each category? So if you get 100, let's say, yeah, I agree with the high-speed internet. 100 say availability of meeting spaces, 100 of something else, and across the board it's pretty even, and you don't have anything. Will that happen?
Actually, it's not like that. It wasn't like that in the last survey.
No.
Okay.
It ranged like, the size and diversity of the books and collections was 55%. I used to work and study 50, but then it dropped down to, even among the top ones, high-speed access to the internet, 23%. And then there were others that are even lower than that 23%.
That's the results from
last.
Yeah.
Plus
Can
you would
you
have
give
the,
us a copy of that? Or just?
Yes.
Yeah, thank
Would you like that in the next board packet or before then?
you. What do you offer? I mean, I'd like to see it.
I've seen it, so obviously I'm not here after
Yeah,
tonight.
it is in the notebook that you saw.
Those of us who were around saw it. Yeah,
Okay.
and it was very helpful.
So the, just for clarity,
Short timers.
am I putting it in the next board packet?
Yes.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Okay. Gotcha. I'm trying to make the board packet smaller for you guys.
I had to print it and then.
That's really for you. You can buy it, pick it up.
I like the fact that the survey, and you did this the last time, that has a few, very few, open-ended, because, it gives people a voice. It's sort of like, what else do you want to say to us? And it sort of frames it in a way that's useful to us. But we need to hear what people have on their mind about the library. And sometimes they will not say that if they don't, if your other items that force a check mark or a forced choice or what, sometimes that just doesn't get at what people need to say. So thank you for keeping those. I think that's helpful.
Oh, that's great. Really fun to fill that.
And I think it'll be really interesting to see what they say about these hours, which we do need to find out what people care about. I mean, because, and not just now, not just because of COVID and now, but we should probably be asking that on a pretty regular basis.
Was that question up there? in the last
I don't
one?
remember it being
No, it
there
wasn't.
last time.
It is, we always had our hours of operation, I believe, I don't think, when Casey got here, did she change the
It's
hours?
been the same hours of operation since this building's been open, what about the old building? So we opened.
Okay, so if that's the, yeah,
Yeah, you know, because one of these options doesn't have Sunday on it, and it'll be very interesting to see what people say about that.
And one of them has a really long Sunday on it, and that'll be interesting as well.
I mean, it's a great question area.
Okay, any other questions on a survey or?
I do want to share with you that Robert and I have already talked, and, you know, if it gets approval, we want it to be ready to hit the ground running. One of the things that we were going to, so your packet was already out to you, and it was already an amendment, so we weren't going to do it again. So I wanted to clarify that in the beginning of the community survey, we will be saying that we want you to think about the library service from 2019 to current day. And then we have one question about COVID. Because COVID was our anomaly. It did show us a lot of good things. We have added curbside in as a service. We have updated it so that it's an accurate reflection of our services. But that said, we didn't want people to be hyper-focused and us get a snapshot of what coming out of COVID looked like. So I wanted to share that with you.
That's good.
Let's see.
Do you want to continue to offer curbside? Is that something, and does that use a lot of resources?
So right now, we're not, short answer, we're not 100% sure. There are elements of it that we really like. It is a real value added for our population who has mobility issues. There are concerns with how are we going to do it with 70 hours? Are you know, the volume that we have? How are we going to make this work? So you know, we're still looking. We're not planning on getting rid of it, but it is under constant evaluation.
I don't think you can take it away. I think you've made it so convenient for people. You know, there are just some things that once you give it to a customer, you cannot take it away.
That's right.
And I suspect that is of that kin, you know,
Yeah,
it's.
so the question is, you can't take it away, but how do you make it sustainable?
Exactly, yeah. And so, you know, we are figuring that out. I wish I could give you a more, you know,
Good luck with that.
yeah.
I mean, that sounded snotty, and I didn't mean for it to. I mean that genuinely, because it is a tough one. You know, because, you know, sometimes the explanations will never satisfy people that have gotten used to it. You know?
Now, the good thing is that, what is it? Right now, we seem to be able to hold to our 2 days. And then if we call, we're telling patrons, well, we're not going to bring it out to your car if it's not a Tuesday or Saturday, but you're welcome to come on in. It'll be ready for you. And they love that as well. So it's not the same kind of service, but it does mean at least 2 days of the week, we can bring it out to your car if there is, so.
But I've done the call and then coming in and pick it up, and it takes me
Right.
a minute and a half. I don't have to go search for it on the shelf and see if it's back there, that kind of
There
thing.
you go.
So, I mean,
Do
just,
you still park in the same place or you?
no, I just parked in the parking lot, but, I mean, it was quick, I just had to run in and get it, and that was it, so it was very quick, so I love that.
How sophisticated is the service and the volunteers work?
So at this stage, because there's privacy issues on who's checking out what book, we wouldn't want volunteers to be part of that. And it's because, you know, people read what they want to read and they shouldn't have any concerns about other people finding out what that is.
With the librarians, no.
Yes, but we are.
We're professionals.
Yes, exactly.
But if they tell, they can be
I
fired.
have a code.
Yeah, well, exactly.
But are you keeping any statistics as far as like what the percentage of the usage?
Yes, we are. Yes,
And
we are.
how that changes once the library was open, how much, you know, I like to see the trend. Is it gonna, decrease, or is it the service that, that is gonna stay that popular?
We need a budget for.
It has tapered back since people are getting out more now. However, the volume, so the number of requests might be down, but the number of items circulating is still quite high. Because you can get up to 5 items in one curbside request. So, but we are collecting that data. And again, in an attempt to make this something that, you guys will read cover to cover with excitement and enthusiasm, I have not included stats this time, but next month you will be getting a very big board packet, I feel. So, yeah, but you will be getting stats,
Okay.
so.
Perfect, thank you.
Is there anything else in your packet?
All right, do we need to vote motion to approve on the survey?
No. Okay, we have a motion on the survey. Kevin,
Sure.
second,
I'll second.
all in favor?
Question. Make sure we include the information that we talked about.
Yes, we will take
Yeah,
it.
add that amended with race.
Yeah.
And then I also wanted to say, we will be adding a question about curbside we'll be adding curbside
Is the service list?
into the question number 2 where it says other. The first other, we will actually list curbside so that we can get, and I'm just going over my notes to see what else. Recruitment. Okay. Oh, and in the focus areas, we want to add, when they meet, we want to present some of our printed materials, promotional materials, to ask questions like, are you aware that these exist? Have you ever used them? And what are your impressions of them? So we will be making those
All right,
changes.
so Anna, the motion, it needs to include those 3 things, right? Okay. Right, with those 3 things.
Including the focus groups and the funding for.
Great, right, yep, and the curbside.
So, these focus groups, are they mirrored in like wall where people can watch from the outside of it?
So that was one of the things that, and I'm glad that you asked that question, because that was something that Robert and I had talked about. Initially we were thinking, have it here at the library, it's easy, we know where it is. But then we were thinking, well, if we want to get these, we need to go to where the people are at. And so if we want to go to educators, perhaps it is best to see if we can ask them if there is a space that they normally go to, and we go there to them. If it was here, it's not a problem at all recording it, both visually and audio because of our setup. But other places aren't going to have that. We could get a camera or maybe an audio. One of the things that we were thinking about was having it where, so the options would be it's here and we record it, or it's at a place that group meets, naturally. And there we have an audio recording. Anna would be a scribe. And then someone could be there to listen. There would be no audio, there would be no video, so that the people did not feel recognized or exposed in sharing their concerns, and people would be able to listen via Zoom.
So could you go to like the senior center or the Martin Luther King Center?
So some of the places we were thinking is the Sky 5 for the entrepreneurs. They should be fine. Now, for parents and the youth, we were thinking here at the library.
How do you get releases signed off on the kids?
Yes.
Okay.
What is it? We were going to ask the chamber for non-library users. We figured that would be a, let's see, for the underserved population, we were thinking either MLK or we were thinking United Way, because they've got, a boardroom.
Well, and I think we should do the United Way because underserved can be,
Many things.
and, you know, if it's an MLK, it makes it look like it's just a race thing. That's part of it. But it could be ethnicity, it could be age groups, you know, so I like the idea of a neutral place like United Way.
Why do we have to record these? And the reason I'm asking is, you know, we've recently done some focus group studies with similar populations, and they did not want to be recorded, and they wanted to remain anonymous, where we gathered the data in a very anonymous way, and we also felt like we got better feedback from them than that. So I guess my question is, why does it have to be recorded?
So, what is it? I guess, you know, that is what I'm used to, and it's because you then have something to go back and refer to. However, if you've just done one, and I know that the chamber's been working on one, I'm going to that. But if you would like to share with how you captured that data, you know, because that's basically, we want to make sure we capture what is being shared with us. And so it feels safer to just go record, you know.
Always is touchy for people.
Yeah.
It is, you know, specifically, like, we were asking questions about race and or LGBTQ stuff, and folks didn't want people in the community to know that they were part of that community, or that, you know, they're African American, they were afraid to speak out about police officers or something, you know, giving very, you know, examples that may not apply to these folks, but I would like to consider giving them the opportunity to remain anonymous.
But are they in a group setting?
We did them all in group settings, and it takes a lot of work of collecting the data to be able to present it to someone in a way with keeping it anonymous, but.
Well, one of the things we were going to do is that if it was recorded before the recording started, first, what Robert would share was that, one, he would ask if it would be recorded. Everyone would sign those releases. We actually said that if somebody said no, that we wouldn't record and we'd go just on Scribe. The other thing, though, was that each of them, instead of, you know, it being Susan and Stephanie and Jesus, it would be participant 1, participant 2, participant 3. So they would identify themselves so that there was clarity in, you know, the train of thought that was being recorded. But that would be it. Do you think that that would be ample with?
You would have a hard time not telling people ahead of time that they were being recorded and showing up and giving them that question day of, they still may not feel comfortable even saying no. I don't know. I'm trying to be sensitive to some of the things that you're trying to get out of these folks if you really want honest feedback.
And we do, and we do.
Traditionally, though, most focus groups are recorded, but the participants are made aware of front.
Made aware.
So that could be done in our recruiting phase. We
That's
could
what
say
we
that.
did. So we let them know ahead of time that we would be recording it internally just for our consultants to take the notes together and put out. But some people opted out of it because of that.
Okay, gotcha. We, when we were talking about, we identified certain individuals that would help us and act as recruiters for the populations that would be part of our focus group. And what we could do is make sure that the recording element, I mean, and maybe we just do, see, with Zoom, we can capture, we could record just that and just turn off all, you know, cameras. But basically, I want to make sure that the board is okay with whatever we decide to do, and if you have a preference.
I know that if we could state that we record it and it will only be used internally, I would love to do that, just to make sure, you know, that Robert has everything he needs, because the next opportunity is 4 years down the track.
What do you think about
Any more thoughts?
Personally, when I've done reports on focus groups, it was always very helpful to not only refer to the notes, but also to go back and listen to, are you looking for, how people are feeling, and sometimes listening to people talk,
It's hard to
you
capture
catch up,
emotions.
you catch some feelings and the nuances that you wouldn't get if you were just looking at them.
That sounds like you couldn't do that on Zoom, but you could do that with the camera. Yeah.
Okay, any more discussion on this? Move ahead.
We need to
it?
vote
So
on
do
this.
we, yeah.
We never voted.
Yeah, no, we want to vote on this. I have a
We need to
motion
get
to
started.
go ahead with it. Second.
Yes, second.
Second. Okay, all in favor?
Thank
No
you.
opposed?
Thank you. Appreciate it very much.
All right. Do you want to talk about the strategic direction, or did you just want, did anybody read it?
Yes.
Is there any point in talking about it? Okay. Thought the statistics at the end were very interesting. We need to take a look at that. And one of the things I think we need to look at in the future is why the library cards are going down. The numbers that are being issued are getting reduced every year. I wonder about that. Okay, how about the financial report? Any questions on that? Any questions on the budget at all?
Yeah, insurance, 35,000.
Yes, that's our liability with the county. That's every year.
So we pay 35,000.
Yes, sir.
Well, it comes out of the budget. It's budgeted and it's just every, I think every different department.
Every department
has
has a share.
Has a
Yes.
share of
So
it.
what's the county paying?
I have no idea.
A lot.
A lot,
yeah.
Schools are paying a lot. A lot. Well, you have to cover yourself,
I know that, I mean,
so.
We have thousands of people in this building every day. I mean, that's a lot of liability.
Yeah.
that's a lot of money.
Yeah, I don't disagree.
I don't disagree with that at all.
Our homeowners association pays $17,000 for liability.
Yeah.
For 350 homes.
Yeah.
Well, 600 homes then. I mean,
Yeah.
it's horrendous.
It is crazy. Yeah, it is.
No, I know. Okay, let's go to some reports and then we'll get to the sex offender policy and those other things that are still in the back. Okay, Angela is here from the foundation. Angela, do you have a report for us?
Yes, but it's a very brief one. Basically, Anjane came and shared the same things with the board that she shared with all of you this evening. Andy came and shared with us the same things that he shared with all of you this evening. And Stephanie Thompson came and shared with us the same thing she's going to share with you. And once we finish talking with them, just getting an update on what's going on with all the transitions of COVID and leadership and all those sorts of things. We had time for routine business meeting where we approved our bills and read our correspondence. The only thing of note that you all may want to take note of is that John Dockery has been 6 and a little more years. He agreed to serve past his term limit to get a new person in office as treasurer. He is finally stepping down from 6 years of being our treasurer after 6 years. And
We appreciate it.
Grant Dockery will be taking his place. So if any of you know Jeff and want to send him a personal thanks note, you can. We are looking to try to arrange a little shout out, call out for him, some publicity for him, and a little bit of love in July to say thank you for hanging in for 6 years. That is my.
Thanks, Angela. Bruce? Bruce, you're up next for the fans.
I'll try to be as brief as I can. We had our June monthly sale, which is our last monthly sale. We're gonna go to the quarterly sales next. We had a good 2-day sale, which is $6,100. In September, we'll go to our next quarterly sale, I think it's September 9th, the weekend after Labor Day, and we're gonna get back into our pattern of having quarterly sales. The community market is going strong. We're averaging, I think we have 17 to 24 vendors out there every Saturday. eBay continues to perform strongly. It's down a little bit. But it's still one of our major money contributors, and we're trying to keep those people happy. We did have our annual membership meeting a week ago. We elected 3 new board members, and they are going to be in position July 1st. And we approved our next year's.
Can you tell us their names?
Oh, sure. Jennifer Spurko, who left here, is now working for the Girl Scouts, but she wanted to keep her feet wet at the library. A new woman named Dee Barham, who came in from Washington State. She's had experience serving on the library she was at up there. She was on the board. She's very energetic. Last but not least, my wife Denise is going to be on the board. So it's a twofer. We did approve next year's expense budget. We have lots of volunteers returning. I think, Vic, you had like 13 in the last 3 weeks. Yeah, so the volunteers are coming back. The book donations are also staying steady. And we're talking about setting up for a teacher's sale in probably maybe like mid-July. There's interest at our last sale amongst a lot of the participants in having a special teacher's sale. So we're looking at that. That's pretty much it.
It's great. I walked in the library yesterday and Ann was hauling this huge truckload of paperback books. Can you talk about that for a second? I couldn't believe it.
That friend of hers, this was her mother's Harlequin romance collection.
I look at a lot of it.
And she has an almost
Every one.
collection. Yeah.
Wow.
It was like,
Every one.
well, she brought in 32 boxes, moderate sized boxes. Of those, probably 14 were the Harlequins. We're not gonna process it the way we want to process. We have, actually, we have an online venue there for those. They sell well.
The most excitement down amongst the eBay people, because a lot of these will be bundled up and put on eBay. Diane was excited because apparently the early Harlequins had a red wash on the ends of the book pages. These are red ends. These are red ends. Oh boy, and they were excited.
Because you have to be a certain age.
And they said they go for big bucks. I couldn't believe it. And it was this high.
Yeah.
Our eBay people have a philosophy that where not any book that comes through is weird, we want to look at.
It was great. Thank you, Bruce and Dick. Okay, Liz, it's time for you.
I don't have a lot. This is, you all met June already, so you already saw the June report. I did add the information about the Recovery Act and tech grant that was just announced last week. And so normally we have those, a 50/50 matching tech grant that our libraries can take advantage of, to update their equipment technology software. We received money, of course, from the Recovery Act through the state library agencies. And so we have $2.5 million that we are combining with the tech grant. And there are a lot of different categories. There's technology and software, like the typical things they work with tech grant. There's also money for website design, if our libraries want to take advantage of that. Also money for print materials, also money for digital materials, also library furniture and equipment.
Would you like some?
The Old State Library and Archives has some as well, so I don't want any, thank you. So we have put that application out. The difference with that application is they will submit it to our regional office. So Nikki and I will get that first, and then we will submit it on to the State Library and Archives. And there is a match, but it is significantly reduced. It's not 50%. It's anywhere from 5 to 20% based on the level of library. So for you all, it would be 20% match on any of those categories. I can't remember what the max. I think the max is 20.
The max is.
For yes, so many grants. Yes, that's the max. And yeah, it's a really great opportunity for our libraries.
When is that application due?
August the 12th, I believe it's going.
What do you plan on submitting for it, or have you guys thought about it?
I have, so as soon as that came out, I sent it out to the admin planning team, was like, dream big, we'll talk about it. But we haven't talked about it yet, so, yeah. I'm writing next board packet.
And I just want to.
We'll get that out to you early.
One more thing, I'm going to do a little plug for the trustee certification program. With the tech grant, that usually comes into play, the number of trustees that have taken the certification program. And with this, should the requests exceed the amount of funding when we start making cuts, that will come into play. So if you would like to register for that and you haven't done it yet, you can let me know. I can let Anjali know, she can let me know. I can get you registered, or it is always available right up here on every board report. And the password, it will take you to a trustee LibGuide, the Tennessee State Library Association, State Library LibGuide, and the password is TN LibGuide. It's all one word, and it's right up there. But if you want to skip that step and you want me to do it, I can do that for you and make it that much easier to get that done.
What's that percentage?
You're certified, and it will count Dawn also. It will
Yeah,
count.
we got two that you're gonna have two new people.
No, it will count you, because
Okay.
your official term is not over till June 30th, and we are giving anybody that's on through the fiscal year. So you two will be your final act of, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, I don't know that it will come into play, but I'm just telling you, if the requests exceed that amount, then it will. So, but you would need to get it done by June 30th, which is not much time. But it can be done. You can do it online, on your own. It's 10 modules. There's short quizzes after each one. So.
Can you
I was
fail?
It's not, you really
Laptop broke.
can't.
I was like, no.
You can't fail, that's true. So, just to, and that's really the only
It'll be
update
done this week.
that was different from
I'll have to get the certificate ready. It'll be done this week.
I would like to say we'll be speedy as getting the certificate done, but we're dependable on people. So sometimes that doesn't happen.
I really, like, I have two, my laptop just stopped working Saturday, and I was gonna finish the last two. But that last week, some occasion, I'm like, I'm gonna get it done, because I've been trying this one, and I'm doing it just like that, but it will be done this week. So.
Do you have any questions?
That's fine.
Okay, anything else? Thanks, Liz. We jump to old business. We've already discussed the old business, right? For the community survey and focus group?
Yes.
Okay. So we're done with that. Let's move on to the nominating committee. Dawn or Jesus or anybody, do you have a Stephanie? Yeah.
I would like to be on this nominating committee for this next term. And I would like to nominate Andy as our chairperson. And I would like to nominate Stephanie as our assistant chairperson.
Okay, are there any nominations from the floor?
Anybody wants to volunteer?
Yeah, anybody want to volunteer?
Yeah.
Okay, we have 2 nominations. Do we need to vote?
Yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, I have one vote. Well, any other nominations? Okay. Thank you.
Sorry. Thank you, Andy. Thank you.
That's right.
Yes.
Thank you, Don.
Yes, thank you. And Stephanie.
What happened when we do a good job?
That's all right.
All right, let's switch over to new business. Strategic directions, we looked at that. The sex offender policy. Has everybody read through that? Does anybody have any questions on that? Are you okay with this?
Yes.
All right, we want to put this, the only question I had was on the D part on the first page on the restrictions of this section should be effective upon the mailing of the notice. I wondered if the mailing shouldn't be registered.
That is actually the law.
Mailing only, not registered?
This is actually the law. That is the law.
And to the code, yeah.
Yeah, so, because trust me, I tried to change that and I was like, I can't, look at me, I'm just changing the law. No.
But in the policy,
In the
if you
policy.
felt like it needed to be
I
a
think
registered
it needs to be
letter,
registered.
then where it says a notice may be mailed to the offender's address. Or, so maybe a certified
Exactly.
or registered or whatever
Something
it
that
needs to
shows that
be.
they actually got it.
Why?
Why?
Yeah.
Because we're stopping them from coming in the library.
So-
If they say they never got it, I don't know what you're talking about.
Are we gonna keep record of that?
Well, if I could just weigh in real quick. What I was, so this is the letter of the law. This is the policy that the Knox County Public Library typically has in place. What is it? In conversations with, so we had an incident which helped bring this to light and the need for it. No one was in danger. A parole officer came onto the campus and began to talk with staff. Of course, I was at lunch, because that's how it always goes. Began to talk with staff about concerns about an offender who came out who had a very violent, against him. He had just gotten out of jail and he was making the habit of coming to the library. Originally, this law said that library directors could make that change, and it also said that, so if the parole officer could tell the offender, you're not allowed to go there. And then, the director doesn't allow it, he would provide a name to the director and the director. Well, he's not allowed to say that anymore. Current legal cases have come up and the parole officer cannot say that. So what this parole officer did was come, and he was in the letter of the law. He came, he located the gentleman, took a picture of him, and he was at the Skyfly tables, which also happens to be right next to our children's department. He came in, he talked to staff. We immediately got on the phone with the mayor and with local police to find out what direction we needed. And from that, this policy and the shaping of it has come into play. So the procedure for this is that we will let the parole officer know what our policy is. When an offender comes out, because it used to be the parole officer would say, okay, now that you're out, if you go to the public library, you have to tell them. Well, the impression I got now is that that's not, is that? It's kind of muddied
I
now.
think it depends on the, I mean, the cases I've seen, the parole officers tell them they can't do, and they have to come, they're supposed
That's
to
right.
come in and tell you
That's
that
right.
they're on the registry.
And so this parole officer was very concerned, and he said, I said, well, you know, I stated the law the way that I remembered it when it said library director, and he goes, no, there's been changes. So we came up with this letter and this notice, and that's page, I guess the last page of it, so that would be where my signature is big and blue. And it basically says you're not allowed on this campus. You do have access to library services digitally. You can call, you can notate someone on your account who can return items for you, but you are not allowed on this campus. What is it? If this is approved, I will call the parole officer and I'll let him know of our policy. And he says that he can give us a name and an address. We can mail it out to the person. But for instance, the gentleman that started this whole thing, he's homeless. He doesn't have a home. So I couldn't mail it. So what the officers that I talked to said is that anytime that happens, if we become aware that a sex offender is on the campus, we can take this notice, call the Maryville City Police. They will come out. We will give this letter to them, and they will present it to the offender. The offender will be made aware of the services that are available to him or her. And then he or she will be added to a no trespassing list or book. And then if they are on the property again, the staff have been instructed to just notify the police. They will come and they will take care of it. And it'll be a criminal charge of trespassing. So that is what I have been instructed. I have to admit, personally, there's lots of torn feelings because we're human and sometimes people get on that list that maybe don't deserve to be on that list. And then sometimes we really need that list.
Has an attorney reviewed this policy?
Not yet, no.
It's a law. And this, what you're saying is what the law says.
And honestly, this is verbatim from what Knox County did, and it went through a lift because it's already been. So I was acting, but if you, because honestly, I made like the Blount County changes, I put in our email, but nothing that would change the process itself.
I think what Andy was saying is mailed to the offender's address using registered mail. So you would have a record of that they had received on that policy right here. I noticed maybe mailed to the offender's address or registered. I think that's all we
Kind
yes.
of avoiding receipt of
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's right, yeah.
So it's a blanket ban of everyone on the registry.
Well, and it's not a total ban. It is just, they're not allowed on the campus. They can still get an e-card. They can still get a full circulation card. They can nominate someone who is not on the registry to come and pick up their books, return their books. They just can't.
And if they're ever removed, like the last statement says, then all they have to do is notify the director. They're removed from the sex offender
Do you have some concern about that, or was it a blanket?
Well, I mean, anytime, I mean, I don't know, it's hard, I don't know about Knox County because they're not in the,
Their
regional
metro.
system,
Yeah.
but I don't have any libraries that have done a blanket ban. I have them utilize the law on a case-by-case basis, where if they know the parole officer or something. I just haven't.
Well, so, and
And I don't think we want to be in.
No.
Dedicate resources to start doing research.
that is the
Where
number
do
one
we
thing.
draw the line?
We are not, and that is one thing that I've told our staff. At first, I was like, our job is not to police. We are not going to go to the register and look for them, but if a parole officer comes in,
Right.
then we've got this in place. With nothing, well, and if we have nothing in place, is that a weakness?
Yes, I would.
Okay, so I would think just, yeah.
That's where your insurance is.
Come on, school campuses.
Sure.
So it's not gonna be like we're gonna have an announcement, you know? And again, you know, there's statutory situations that maybe someone, you know,
But we don't want to be in the business of determining
policing,
all that.
that's exactly right.
Right, and that's.
So.
I just
Well, do
worry
they
about
need
somebody
coffee in
coming
this
out and
policy?
saying, because the local taxes
Well, but I think the way Anjanae's talking about it is if the parole officer comes, or if a police officer comes and says, this person is on, and
Yeah.
then that's when that is gonna
But
come
we're
into
gonna give the
play.
parole officer copies of this, right?
That's right, and if you'd like, I can definitely, send this over to the county attorney to make sure there's, you know,
It needs to go to all the funding bodies.
Yeah, I think, I would.
no, but
make
I mean, before it goes to all the
Review.
funding, yeah, to
Yeah,
have one
make
legal
sure.
review if you'd like.
I would agree with that, Anjanae.
I mean,
think it needs to
I
go
just
there.
wanna make sure we're putting a policy that it's actually, and we're annotating, we're citing code, you know, making sure we're citing the right things, and we're protected and not having the wrong things in there. And also, you know, I would like to know how you're like, Chief Chris, know how you're gonna roll this out to them. Are you meeting with them to share this with them?
So what is it, so as soon as this happened, I called, Amy Cowden, she discussed it with the mayor, and then they immediately reached out to the City of Maryville Police. And then Amy called me back, and, gave me the procedure that they recommended. And then, let's see, what is it? Then I had conversations with the officers. So we have a direct phone number for our staff to call a City of Maryville officer if we believe that there is an offender.
Why don't we table this thing until the next meeting, until you run it by the attorneys and we'll move on.
Yeah.
Is that okay?
Yes, absolutely. While we're talking about policies very quickly, or about a policy, I wanted to let you know that the library standards, which is, you know, the annual review of where we're at with our policies, and it is time for us to do some serious reviews of our policies. So it's gonna be due by July 15th, so you're gonna see a lot of no's. But that just means that, Liz, you wanna just, you know, support me? We're not getting our hands smacked. We're not, it's not a negative. All it is saying is, hey, every year have we done this? And on a lot of our policies, we haven't. So, I would like to create a timeline so that, the next several board meetings, we're getting those policies checked off.
Great.
Not on policies.
Okay. Anthony, you want to talk about the update on the job description?
Sure. As part of the search committee's job, we wanted to take a look at the library director job description before we advertised for a new director. Jared Anderson, who's one of the committee members, is a lawyer, so we got some free lawyer help. He did a great job of, I think, of revising some of the key things that we looked at, that categorized essential job functions into general functional categories. So we categorized things, grouped knowledge, skills, and abilities into type groups, reclassified some minimum requirements to perform work into knowledge, skills, abilities, and qualifications. Addition of several responsibilities already undertaken that were not included in this job description. And we did remove the 5 years of experience requirement as a library director from the job description. And that was based on input from the staff, because they felt like if we required someone to have 5 years of director experience, that was removing the ability for some of the librarians who head up large branches, large branch libraries. They aren't directors as such, but they felt like that was removing some of the pool of qualified candidates from, based on this job description. So those were some of the major revisions. Really, a lot of it was just moving stuff around and putting it in categories. There wasn't a lot that made changes.
Search committee is really doing a good job. They have, it's not a 15, 20-minute job. They've been in there for hours at a time. It's really good. And our committee members are excellent.
So did any of you have any suggestions for the description? Any questions?
Great.
Thank you. Jared did an awesome job.
Jared did it. Jared.
If it's okay with you, we're just gonna go ahead with this.
Yeah, let's move forward. It's good.
Does it need to be voted on, or?
I don't think so.
Do we need to vote on it?
I don't think so.
Okay.
No, just recommendations.
Okay, moving on. It was time for, we have some board members that are rolling off, and we were going to be having some nominations for new board members. The only funding body that has responded is Alcoa, and they have put Logan Hill up for another 3-year term. He had volunteered to do that. We have to twist his arm really hard, but we really appreciated that very much, Logan. So thank you for doing that. And I appreciate Alcoa for coming through. The other two have not come through at all. So we have 2 other members that are rolling off. Actually, we have 3, but we're talking to 1. So we have 2 members that are rolling off. 2 that are officially rolling off, and that's Susan Scheibel and Kathy Hammond. And it's kind of a really sad day today because these 2 have been incredible board members. It's sad for the existing board, it's sad for them. And we just really appreciate the incredible job that you both have done, and thank you so much. And so I'd like to give you a little something from the library board. And thank you for all the work.
I love this library. You don't get rid of me this easily.
Well, we're gonna be calling you.
I need a break, I need a break, but
Your numbers are in our phone book.
but I'll probably come back as a friend or something. I mean, I'll just, I'll always have my foot, my little toe, once I retire after next year. This is a fabulous resource, and the staff is fabulous. So I'm just so proud of this. I'm really, really proud.
Well, I want to say that I can definitely say that both Casey and I know that Casey's moved on, but you guys worked with Casey for a long time. And, there were a lot of challenging times, but your leadership through those times and your dedication and caring to this library has always been greatly appreciated. So thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Amy, can I give just a quick update on the search committee?
Absolutely.
And you chime in here in just a minute. Just kind of want to give you all a little bit of information about what we've been working on. We've got the job description. We've established a salary range based on information and looking at libraries that are comparable to ours across the state, the range of 80 to 100,000. We're working on job ad requirements, and we'll be getting that out pretty soon. We are going to post it on the American Library Association site, as well as a lot of other ZipRecruiter and LinkedIn, and there's a lot of other sites, and the regional and state library association sites. Andy was going to check to see if we might get something in the Daily Times, an article of some kind about that. Maybe we wouldn't have to pay for that. You want to talk about the survey?
So Jennifer from United Way and we kind of worked a little bit on the survey as well to send to all the, the groups of people that we have as the Friends Foundation, the employees of the library, and there's the Chamber of Commerce and Parks and Rec and the founding bodies. But basically, we want to get a short survey, 10 questions, and just to get them informed to really truly see what's important to everybody as we look to the next direction.
Passed out the survey questions to you. Did you?
This is the survey list. I
Yeah.
didn't get the survey.
So,
Okay,
yeah.
we need to make sure the timing of these two
Yeah.
surveys
Funding bodies.
is, you go out with both of them and you'll ruin both of their responses.
So these folks are answering what's important to them about the next director.
Yeah, so they're gonna
Yes.
get, you got the list right in front of you. So they're gonna get an email, like the city of Alcoa, that we're gonna send to that person, that point of contact. And that person, we're gonna ask them to disperse it to, like for the city of Alcoa, to be the commissioners and the Mark Johnson and everything. So it's not just, and we're thinking about doing it, and that might be something we need to talk about when it goes out, but we were thinking about sending it here very, it's ready to go.
So we've got to have it quickly, just the characteristics, and so we can use in that e-brochure.
And you can imagine if you're one of those people, and there'll be a lot of them, that will get both.
Yeah.
Okay. And you complete the first one. And then you get the second one, where you go is, I've already done that survey.
Yeah.
And then you lose a response. So it
We'll
may
work on
be,
that.
your timing is,
Yeah.
I get that, but then you may need to delay yours a month or something like that, so that there's this separation.
And we're ready for the survey to go out, and we are gonna, just the subject, it is gonna be the
Library
director position, so.
Yeah,
But
I
it's still gonna be a
understand.
survey.
But to the average person that, comes across in their emails or whatever, it is.
So,
We'll work on timing.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fixable.
Yes.
Well, and I'm just wondering, are you capturing stakeholders or you want community with this as well?
We're really just looking at.
Like if it,
friends,
we're
the
still-
foundation,
stakeholders.
Yes.
Yeah, that seems appropriate.
Librarians.
Yeah.
A lot of what that list that you got there.
Now, what if your survey data comes back and says something different than what's in that job description?
Well, we're gonna include that job description, and then we're gonna include a little section on qualities, characteristics, like
That informs your
communication.
interview questions and
Yes.
things like that. Okay, I got it.
Yes, yes.
They're very broad, they're not
Yeah, gotcha.
super.
So it looks like, as far as I'm understanding this, that, the library employees are the largest group outside of all of this. So if you're talking about contacting less than, 50 people, and that's including all the library details, if you say, and you give them, oh gosh, we are going to the
I was thinking like 1 week would be.
Yeah, I think we said 2 weeks.
We
2
said,
weeks,
yeah, we were wanting to send it out on June 26th, and then almost 3 weeks for input, until July 17th. But we can back ours out, if we need to, I mean, as far as just giving them 2 weeks instead of 3.
Yeah, because we talked about 2 weeks.
We did,
When we first started talking about it, we did say 2 weeks.
We need to get next week.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't do them, I wouldn't do anything less than 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Right, but your 2 weeks would probably work for you. Because the problem, what we know about survey research is people who are gonna respond are going, will get on to
Do it,
respond.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what we
Yeah.
talked about.
And everybody here is gonna get one, so please make sure you respond.
I can tell you the staff will.
And this is our way to make sure that we are listening. This is not just, the community saying, we want this person, this is what we think it's important. It is getting that.
And some of these stakeholders that have very unique thoughts about all this. So I think it's a great step.
Now,
I appreciate all the work of this.
The only consideration is the homeschool association, when you say members, how big is that?
It's huge here.
I said members of the board you're talking about.
Okay, so if it's homeschool board / members, not board and members,
Not
then,
everybody who's children.
okay.
Well, it says and members.
The chamber contact needs to be Tammy Ford. I can give you guys that email address.
And I think Joe Huff from Parks and Rec, that email might be off. I'll double check that for you.
Our hope is to post the job August 1st.
Yep.
That may be a little ambitious, but that's what we're looking for, and a deadline to apply September 1st.
Sounds like a good plan.
So,
Well, we thought if we put it in the ALA, it's a month-long posting, so we thought that.
send it to UT, send it to Middle Tennessee, they both have library directors programs.
If you have a good candidate out there, follow it.
I will, I mean, I don't know any, off the top of my head, but sending it out to all of us to hear.
I would think this would be a plum job.
Anything else?
Yes.
Thank you. Can we just agree on the timeline? So, because on our timeline, we had July 1 was when we were gonna push this out.
That's next week.
So, so it's not gonna be July 1. So sorry, I'm looking at my calendar. So you guys are gonna push yours out on the 26th of June? That's Saturday? Okay. And you're gonna run it to the 10th?
2 weeks.
Okay, so you close it on the
10th of July.
Okay, the 10th of July. Okay. I think a delay of 10 days because we've already done the finalizing of protocols, we can start reaching out. So as long as we can do our push by July 10. Well, that's okay.
Y'all are gonna figure this out.
Yeah, what will you all do?
Y'all will figure this out.
Okay, 2 board members that are rolling off, if you have this, would you mind giving it back to us?
Sure, I may have multiple.
Unless you want.
I
You said you have multiple?
bet you do. We got an archive.
Okay.
I have a box.
We have some,
Really?
we have some
You know,
board members
all the
that don't
notes
have-
and all the
We
meetings.
don't have these, and we want to make sure that
Oh,
everyone
Lord.
gets this isn't gonna go away. So-
You can have it all.
And rather than bringing it all over. Okay,
So are we ready to adjourn?
yeah, we are.
And last
We're short over
Kathy,
here.
want a second that, Kathy?
Second.
All opposed to that? Thank you very much. See you in, let's see, when's the next? Wednesday.
Stephanie, when are we next week?
Thanks, everybody.
We'll miss you.
Good luck.
Back to my note.
I'm serious, I don't have
The certification, I really, we did it so fast, I'm like.
Thank you, Angela.
Oh, yeah.
So we're going.